My name is Reverend Ann Sermons Gillis, and I'm here today to interview one of our friends and soon to be members of Unity of Charleston. Welcome. This is Brian Rea. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you, Ann. Good morning.
Yeah, well, we're going to start at the very beginning, and I'm wondering, where were you born?
So I'm originally from Charleston, South Carolina. I was born here.
Ah,
Yep. I'm one of the few. And then we actually moved away when I was two, and we lived in Texas for about 12 years. And then the family migrated back, and in high school came back to Charleston.
so you've lived in Charleston most of your life then? You didn't move?
I've done a lot of moving, actually. There's a lot of times in my life I needed to move for one reason or another. And there was a few times I moved for a geographical cure. I thought, well, if I go to this new place, then things will be different. Journey, but I most recently we moved back to Charleston. I moved away after high school, and then my wife and I moved back in 2020.
And you moved from Asheville?
Yep, that's where we met, is Asheville, North Carolina.
Okay, and so you've migrated back to the Charleston area. What part of the Charleston area do you live in now?
We live in Mount Pleasant.
Mount Pleasant. Okay. So what actually brought you back to Charleston? Did you say that your a job?
Well, and honestly, it was a personal reason. So my parents, they live here, and they're now in their 80s. So I knew I wanted, to land back here so I could have some time to spend with them in their good years, and work on that relationship. So that was kind of the main motivation.
Okay, so you're married to Taylor and you have two little children. Tell us about your children and their ages. Or you have two little ones and one big one.
That's right. So I've got my daughter Claire. She's 15, and she's from a previous marriage, and she lives with us. She's in ninth grade, and then we have our son James, who's just turned 4, and we also have our baby son Thomas, and he's 15 months now.
It's amazing that the
Yeah.
kids are that old.
Well,
Oh, it goes so fast.
I'm 47 years old, so it was I think, and I'll share about it later, but as I've changed my life and gotten onto the spiritual path and made a lot of changes, I feel like the universe has rewarded me with so much abundance, and the kids being one of the big things I'm thankful for.
All right. So what is your career? What are you doing now?
So I'm a restaurant owner. My brother owns a number of restaurants in Arizona, and I'm partners with him on one of those. So that's that's what I do for my income.
So do you work in the restaurant or is it
No,
a
I do some administrative and accounting stuff, and it's pretty self-sufficient.
so do
But I
you work
restaurant.
from home?
uh,
Do you work from home?
yes,
Okay. So that's why we got you at home today, huh?
that's right.
So tell us a little bit about your spiritual journey. How did that begin and where are you now?
Okay, well, I mean, in a nutshell, when I look back in my life, I had an older brother who died in a car accident when he was 24. So around the time I was 15 years old, and we were raised Christian and Catholic, and I think at the time the way I processed the grief was anger towards God, and so I can trace back kind of when I separated from my spiritual life back to around that time. And so for many years, I stayed separate from the spiritual path. I kind of turned away from it out of just, I was blocked for whatever reason. And then also throughout the years, I developed an addiction and kind of became an alcoholic and a drug addict over the years. And so I had a lot of success in my life, but it seemed like my addiction dragged me back one step forward, two steps back, and it was a process for me to surrender to that. And so that's where the spiritual journey started. In 2017 was the first time I tried to get sober, and went to rehab and went to Asheville, North Carolina, to do a sober living house to kind of surrender over to this new life. And that's where I met Taylor. And so that was kind of what got me onto the path, understanding that I was spiritually sick as well as with the addiction, and that the answer was, getting access to a higher power, to God, and looking within and getting on the spiritual path.
So how did you find unity?
Well, so I have been, so coming up on 5.5 years sober. So I did that through Alcoholics Anonymous. And as you know, the program is a lot of similarities in ways the unity is the concept of our divinity or our divine spirit being within ourselves. And that's where we contact it. And it's an unlimited inner power we can access that can give us serenity and peace and all those answers. So I was on that path, a big fan of the New Thought movement. So studied everything that Emmett Fox has ever written, and I really put a lot of effort into that path. And so we believe in so many of the teachings of the Bible, but I everything was congruent. We don't take the Bible completely literally. We believe it's a wonderful source of wealth of knowledge, but half the problem I think with a lot of religions is everything's taken so literally that it sets up a lot of contradictions that are hard to believe. And so we would go to some different churches here, and the theme we felt like we were getting there was a lot of fear-based stuff. We were being threatened with damnation and things like that. And for us, spirituality, we don't believe those two things need to be connected. We believe that what unity teaches that there is a heaven and hell, but there's states of mind that exist now, and that we can find that heaven now, and that our thoughts dictate our lives, and all those things just matched up with what the way we were living our life, and with the AA principles of spirituality, of a God of our understanding. So there was so much congruency with it that it just once we came, we felt like we found our home. We felt like, okay, this is what we believe, and so there's no point in going somewhere else and struggling to get through it with all these parts we don't believe in. And so I'm really thankful to
So,
find.
so did someone tell you about it, or did you just go online and look, or how
Taylor,
did you?
Taylor was on a mission. She knew that she wanted to include church and a community, a spiritual community, in our life and for our children. And so we went through this process where we went to half a dozen different churches in Mount Pleasant. And inevitably, after one or two visits, we would just feel that disheartened feeling of like, well, this just isn't what we're looking for. So she really researched it and found unity. So it was, I have to give her the credit for finding y'all. She kind of sought it out, and I think looked for um, something that was teaching these things that we believe.
So after going through all of this, what is your philosophy of life? Just your short, like you have a guiding idea or principle that you go by.
Well, I just try to remember that there's an infinite source of power, and that is, whatever you choose to call it, God. It's an inner power, it's a divine spirit, but I believe that that's within us all. And I believe that my purpose in life is to be of service to others, is to obviously have a purpose as a father, as a husband, as a son, which are important things, that to being of service by doing the best I can with that. And just that I have to be a steward of my own mental conduct and the thoughts and feelings that I have, so that I can stay attuned to that positivity, and kind of, and then give that love outwards and receive love. And I know that obviously for me, my sobriety is very sacred and spiritual. So another purpose I feel is just to help others in every regard I can. In sobriety as well, I've been able to help a lot of men that are striving to get sober, and really just showing them the truth of that there's a path to freedom, and that it's within themselves.
Okay. Well, what are some of your favorite, who are some of your favorite authors or particular books that have been guiding lights for you?
Well, I love James Allen, As a Man Thinketh,
Mhm.
are the ones that really got my gears working towards the New Thought movement. And so I kind of, after that, dove in and discovered Emmett Fox. I love his writings, a practical interpretation of the Bible and all of the metaphysical meanings behind it. So I'm a huge fan. The Sermon on the Mount, I feel like, is just an amazing spiritual treatise. So that's probably one of my favorites. And then actually the Four Agreements that we're doing now in church. I love that book. So those are a few.
Okay, great. What are your passions or hobbies?
Well, I love fishing. If I had to pick one just self-indulgent hobby that I'm is my favorite thing I want to do is fish. But I've had to surrender to reality a little bit with these really small children, and that I don't get to do it as often as I would like. So I would say fishing, definitely, boating, swimming, anything outside, and then just spending time with family and being of service. I would say probably the main thing. And sobriety is honestly a really uh, deep passion of mine. And helping others to find that is one of my big.
So it looks like you're in the right place if you're a water person. Do you participate in any spiritual practices?
Well, I have a strict daily discipline of prayer and meditation every morning. So the mornings are my time to visit with my higher power and to contact that. So I have a little routine. It's a daily routine, about 20 minutes. I have some meditation readings that I read. I spend some time in prayer, and then I spend at least 5 minutes in meditation. So I found that that practice has really given me a wellspring of strength. So each day, no matter what happened the day before, at the end of each day, I give thanks for the day, and then I wake up and it's a whole new life, a new day, and I start off and replenish with my higher power. And so that's I would say my main practice. And the other two I would say would be service, doing things for others, and kind of a byproduct of that is just happiness. And so I take meetings into the detox center, and I sponsor other men to take them through the 12 steps, which is a spiritual set of steps and practices. So I would say that would be those things keep me spiritually healthy.
Yes, thank you. And I want to go back just a minute to what you were saying. Did you find authors like Emmett Fox before you came to Unity, or was that after you came to Unity?
Was before. So it was very
Oh,
interesting that his books are just, I mean, he might as well have been a member of Unity. I know he was a part of that New Thought movement and was a pastor, but a lot of the writings are just, it's incredible because I've been fascinated with his writing in this um, angle that the Bible's filled with parables and what is the metaphysical meaning behind those parables as opposed to a literal interpretation. I've been very fascinated. And so it was perfect with Unity because I'm so interested in it, and there's so much to learn that it really kind of, felt good to arrive with you guys, with this church.
well, he is very well respected in Unity and, and regarded as a great teacher. And Unity Truth students read him all the time. So, yes, quite in line with
Yeah.
that. So, do you have any words of advice that you might offer? Life advice.
Yeah. Well, I think that keeping an open heart is important. I know in times in life our hearts open and they close based on experiences, and I found it true that when my heart does close, the sooner that I can open it, the sooner I can get past the suffering caused by it. Inevitably, it has to open at some point. So, uh, my advice is, I think, keep a pulse on what's within your heart and how you feel, and be honest. I had to be honest with myself about how I feel about things and not run away from the truth and not try to escape or suppress that, but just to allow it to be there, and to have faith that um, there's a higher power that got me to this point, and that higher power is going to deliver me the rest of the way on my journey. And so I don't have to be afraid about how things are going to end up. I can just remind myself to trust. So that would be my, I think surrendering over to that has been a really big relief for me because it taught me that it's not all up to me. I don't have to dictate how things end up or be afraid. I can just go on with the flow.
Yeah, and that's letting go of control. If it's up to us, we have to control everything. So that's beautiful, Brian. Thank you so much.
Sure.
I want to thank you for being here today, and I look forward to seeing you on Sunday.
Same here. And thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me.